What do you think is a lie about motherhood you want to warn future mothers about? That you have to sacrifice every single bit of your body, time, and soul for your children. If breastfeeding is sucking the life out of you, literally and figuratively, and you hate it and it upsets you, then stop. Formula has kept babies alive for decades. If you're at your wit's end and are about to have a breakdown, it's okay to lay baby down in the crib safely and walk away for a moment to catch your breath. Believe it or not, you don't actually have to do those staged monthly photos with a sign that shows how old your infant is, which you then post in FB. Literally do what works best for you. You have to put your own oxygen mask on before helping others. A mentally well and happy mom is best for a healthy, happy baby. You may not want to be a mother. Don't just have kids because that's what everyone else is doing. Also, you may want to be a mother, but you shouldn't be one. I'm not judging anyone. I'm talking about myself. I can barely take care of myself, so there's no way I'm bringing a child into my world. Sometimes you don't immediately love your kid. When they placed my kiddo on my chest, it was weird and took a couple days before I reconciled that this squirming loud person was the one I carried for months. I love my kiddo more now than I did then, after getting to know them. And that's okay. It's not always that perfect love where nothing else matters instantly. Sometimes it takes time. It's also literally impossible to spoil an infant. If they are crying, they need you. Whether that's changing, food, or comfort. When you let them cry it out, you're just teaching them they can't depend on you. Studies show their stress levels don't diminish when they stop crying. They just realize you're going to fail at being there for them. 2 kids is harder than 1. Don't have another just to entertain the oldest. I know a few people that did that. Also, I don't think anyone emphasizes how much you will lose yourself and truly get exhausted by it. That you are supposed to let a child just cry it out. No. That is garbage. You answer their cry, each and every time. By responding to them saying they need something in a consistent manner, you are literally laying the foundation of their trust in the world for the rest of their lives. If they don't get their needs met when they express the need, they will learn to mistrust and be afraid of the world. Always answer the cry. That as a woman you will be naturally more equipped to care for the child than the father will. That's bullshit. With the exception of producing breast milk, men are just as capable of attending to a baby's needs. Parenting is a learned skill just like any other. That you won't have a favorite kid. You will. But try not to make it painfully obvious to the less preferred one. Lol. Not every woman is meant for motherhood. And that's okay. Disciplining your child is harder than it seems. It is very easy to spoil your kid. Especially if you have the means to, it is incredibly easy to want to spoil the fuck out of them. To buy them everything they want, either because you love them or because they won't stop crying. It's so easy to want to blame another person for your child's mistakes. You might even often have to catch yourself mid-argument and realize that it is your child who was in the wrong. This all becomes even more true when you're a step-parent. You want to be the ideal parent and have your stepchild get along with you or at least take some liking towards you. You'll inevitably have to buy them something at some point, but it's easy to want to shower them with your money to try win their favor. It's an easy trap to get caught in. I don't know why so little people talk about this. I'm a child, but if your older kid is 10 plus YRS older than the younger kid, don't expect them to be a parent to the younger one. My 16-yo cousin has to much be a mom to her 3-yo sis cuz her actual mom is either out or in a RLLY bad mood most of the time. You are not the giving tree, like the Shel Silverstein book. Do not bend over backwards giving everything and doing everything for your kids. It only makes them entitled and you depressed. In fact, the job is slowly returning responsibility to the child so by the time they are 18 they are independent. That thinking it's the best thing you'll ever do, is enough to have a kid. That you can just figure it out. That it's okay to be a mom if you haven't begun to deal with your own childhood trauma. Having a kid means learning to put another human first. Always. Not at the expense of your own well-being. I'm not into self-sacrifice and that can absolutely be a form of abuse in itself. But too many people enter motherhood lackadaisically and, as someone who has worked with survivors of abuse and neglect for nearly 2 decades, I'm over it. It's wild to me that anyone can be a parent when you need to apply for a driver's license. It's wild you can hire full-time care to raise your kids while you don't spend any time with them at all. It's wild that folks use an actual human to magically solve their problems. I get it. Society makes you think that way. Birth control should be more accessible. Motherhood should be more equitable. But we are putting real human lives at stake when we don't implore people to really think and ensure they are ready to be a parent before doing so. Note: once someone has a kid, that kid should be theirs, and the child welfare system sucks, is racist and classist and horrible. I'm talking about preventing it beforehand. Which is why, for the love of Goddess, reproductive healthcare should be free and accessible to everyone. If I see one more post from someone who is thinking about having a baby, and someone else writes back saying that, it was the best thing I ever did, without mentioning how it's working out for the kiddo. It's about the kid. Rant over. That it gets easier or ever truly ends. It doesn't, and it won't. I have 3 kids, 20, 21 and 24. Teenage years are hard and expensive if they play sports, especially travel. Don't underestimate that commitment either, financially or time-wise. You also don't stop ever being a parent. Especially if you're a single parent. My husband died 5 years ago, and finishing raising them alone blows. Both of my sons are military, and although they are perfectly capable and have done deployment, they still ask mom for things. Part of me enjoys it, it's nice to be needed, but other part is annoyed. You're an adult, figure it out. Depending on the situation, I don't help. You fix helicopters, you can make a doctor appointment. They are my biggest joy and greatest accomplishments, but it really is a lifelong commitment. That it's an end of your own life. No. Not unless you make it so. Traditionally, selfless has been the highest compliment a mother can receive, and it's a big fat lie. When the epitome of motherhood, womanhood is to lose oneself completely. Embracing this model only teaches our children, especially the girls, to do the same. We are better mothers, leaders and teachers when we model boundaries, self-care and self-respect. Obviously there is a great deal of unavoidable sacrifice involved with being an attentive mom, especially in the infancy and toddler phases, but it shouldn't define a mother beyond that. Reminds me of the Jungian quote, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents." That all your friends peace on you. I haven't been isolated and my friendships haven't changed. It just takes a bit more work, like any life event. It's nice to find this out as a CF person. The real ones stick around. The hangs change and the moms apologize like crazy for no reason for that. The hangs have changed, but you still have your friend, plus getting to see little versions of them is so wonderful.